And all right. Thank you, God, for everything. No biblical word study. And we're just going to study one word at a time, one verse at a time, one chapter at a time. And we're never going to get it. But it's fun looking up words, man. And we're going all over the place. We're doing a lot of different things past couple of weeks. Atonement and being clean, purging, and purifying, refining, washing. A lot of good words there. I was going to get into the oil and ointment, olive oil, Meshach, and all that stuff. The Elion, LFO, the Kiro, the anointment, Moro, foreign, the Smyrna, which is myrna and myrrh, and then frankincense and all that stuff, and bitterness. And Parazzo, I did a little bit of stuff on Parazzo, trying, testing, proving, and the trial, of your faith and all that. We might stumble onto some of that tonight. But I've had this Dross, Stubble, and this Chaff thing hanging out here for so long. I just wanted to get it out of the way, so to speak. And there isn't too much on it, so maybe we can get into something else with this. But let me just give you some definitions. And the Dross here. Should I pull up another one here, or do I have it? Dross. Yeah, here's the Dross. We'll give you the definition here. 5509. It's sieg or sug. It's Dross, moving back or away. And a lot of this stuff has to do with that. It's the putting down, moving it back, getting away. And it comes from the sug, which means to turn, or to turn away, to go back, to turn back, or backslider, to move on. But it's dross, and we know what when it talks about the silver, you're burning the silver, you're melting the silver, and the stuff that comes on the top, you're supposed to get it off. It's like the dross, and we'll read some stuff on that. And it's a negative thing, So, and then the other one is the stubble, and we'll look this up here real quick. Stubble is kash, 7179 in the Hebrew. Stubble or chaff. There's not much here. There's a couple of verses here, and it comes from this verb kashash, which means to gather together, to assemble, to collect, to gather stubble or sticks together. You got two of these here, TWOTs. There's a couple of verses on that one, and there's a verse on that one. Gather stubble, sticks, kash, and that's stubble. And then you have chaff, which is motes, always as driven by the wind. We see that in the New Testament too. The chaff and the winnowing and separating the chaff from the wheat. And it's a little lighter, so when the wind blows, it blows it away, and that's the chaff, and it passes away. So, and you see pass away, to go over, to pass through, and it comes from this moots, which means extortioner. 1162, extortioner. And what would the verse be here? 4160. Isaiah 16:4, he says, "Let mine outcasts dwell with thee, Moab. Be thou a covert to them from the face of the spoiler. For the extortioner is at an end, the spoiler ceaseth, the oppressors are consumed out of the land." It's Isaiah talking to Moab. He wants them to be a covert, a seether, or a secret, or a covering, or a shelter from the face of the spoiler, the Shaddad, spoiler, to deal violently with, to devastate, to ruin, or the extortioner, which is just one time here, the moots, oppressor. And the oppressor here is Ramas, to tread down, to stamp, to trample. So He wants Moab. He wants a little help from Moab in that instance there, but that's just the verb for this motes, which is chaff, something that's driven by the wind. All right, and we're going to do a little bit of the dross here and see what happens, because that's good stuff. Dross, when you're smelting, refining, and things like that, you're burning things, and we talk about our faith being tried in the fire and refined. We might get into that too with First Peter, and then James also has some stuff in there. But let me see this. Okay, so there's a bunch of verses here. How many verses do we have here? We have 8, and let me just read these here. I don't know if all of them are here, but thou puttest away all the wicked of the earth like dross. Therefore, I love thy testimonies. Psalm says, Sam at the door. You believe this? Hold on a second. Come on, Sam. I know. Come on. Come on. There you go. Now, sit down and relax. Okay, come here. Shut up. There we go. Dross, compared, it's the wicked are compared to dross. And where was I? In Psalms, Proverbs 25 and 4, take away the dross from the silver, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer. And we looked at all these words within the past couple of weeks. The finer, that's the trying, the smelting, saraf, to founder, the goldsmith, to smelt, to fine, and we do that. And that's where we got to go. We got to go through the fire. Take away the dross from the silver, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer. Let me see this dross here. I'll look up something on Easton's. The impurities of silver separated from the one in the process of melting. It is also used to denote the base metal itself, probably before it is smelted. And that's from Easton's International Standard Bible Encyclopedia. It's the refuse of smelting of precious metal. So that's why it's a negative thing. It's the refuse. It's used figuratively of what is base or worthless. And that's what all these verses have to do here. And I probably looked this up here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 verses here that have to do with that. And you can see how this works in our lives. And then Proverbs 26 and 3, burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. And Isaiah 1:22 and 25. Let me put it in context over here on the end. Thy silver is become dross, thy wine mixed with water. And that's how I got into the mixturing and mingling and things like that, because it's not always good to mix and mingle things unless God's doing it. You know, there's certain words in the New Testament talk about him mixing, which is a good thing. And we'll hopefully we'll get into those. We'll tempered together, sum keranumi. We'll look at that a little bit later on if we can. And there's types of mixing that's good, and there's types of mixing that's not good. The mixing that mixes everything together and then it changes into one thing, that's good. The mixing that just these two things are mingled together and not one's coming out, they're still separate, that's not good. So there's a couple of types of mixing and mingling. And thy princes are rebellious, and companions of thieves. Everyone loveth gifts, and followeth after rewards. And we can see that going on today. They judge not the fatherless, neither does the cause of the widow come unto them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will ease me of mine adversaries and avenge me of mine enemies. and I will put my hand upon thee and purely purge away thy dross and take away all thy tin. So how does he do that? That's trying. That's putting you through the fire, and he's going to do that, and he did that to Israel, and they came out being what they are today, and they still have to go through something today to be made what was supposed to be made spiritual Jews in the end. And Ezekiel 22:18, Son of man, the house of Israel is to me become dross. All they are brass and tin and iron and lead in the midst of the furnace. They are even the dross of silver. So it's a refuse thing. It's not something that's good. And all these things are burnt off and they go up into the air and they don't become anything. It's scum on the top of the furnace on the melting liquid, and it's taken away. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, because you are all become dross, behold, therefore I will gather you into the midst of Jerusalem. And the wicked afflictions, the refining influence. We can look at that. Here's the refining influence of the afflictions that are brought upon us. These are good stuff here. This is tested. Physical life tested by the Lord. Life tested by the Lord. The inward life tried. Refining process. Look at all these good verses here. We're going to have to look at these here too. But this one here is the refining influence. But he knoweth the way that I take. When he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. And that's what you want. When they throw all the rocks and the stuff, everything into the furnace, the fire, and it gets heated and it melts, and everything gets burnt off. The tin, the silver, but comes forth is gold. The gold is, the more you burn the gold, the purer it gets. So that's what we want. And for Psalm 66:10, for thou, God, hast proved us and hast tried us as silver is tried. And we read all of these when we were reading the proving and the trying and the testing. We looked at these words already. The proved us. That's his bakan. That's to try, to prove, to examine. We looked at that last week in this 6884. The Sarah, we looked at that. That's to try, the founder, the goldsmith. All connected. Everything's connected. It's just one big word. We're just learning how to define it. And Isaiah 125 we just read. So I will purely purge away the dross and take away all thy tin. So he's going to beat you. Behold, 48:10. I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. All right. Jeremiah 9:7. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will melt them and try them. For how shall I do for the daughter of my people? And we got to go through the fire. Melt them. That's the same word they use, melt, saraf, and try them, bakan. And I will bring, Zechariah 13:19, I will bring the third part through the fire, and I will refine them as silver is refined, and I will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. We're waiting for that day to come, right? In Malachi 3:3, we taught this verse up for several weeks. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. And here we go with 1 Peter. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it is tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. So the trial, and I got this, it's the last thing I looked up today. Dokiman is a bunch of words for this dokiman, dokimazo, dokimas. We might get into it The trying of your faith. And what was the other one? The other one was in James. I forget what it was, but we'll find it. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange things happen to you. So when you're going through the fire, don't think it's strange. We need that fire. If he chastises us, we're his children. If we're not, we're bastards. The fiery trial, porosis, burning fiery trial, 44, 51, 51. And then smoke of a burning in Revelation 18:9. And the smoke of a burning in 18:18, Revelation 18:9. Whoops. So I lost that what I was looking at here. Okay. Some strange thing, but I wanted to get to this other one here, the fiery. Peter 1:7. Oh, the trying, the 1383. Let me look at this. 1383. The last thing I looked at here. Here we go. Okay, 1383. That's James 1:3. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. So, and this is dokimion, the trying or the trial, proving that which by something is tried or proved, a test. Those are the two verses for that. 1383. And also 1380, I think, is the main one here. It's dokeo. It means to think or to seem or to suppose or to seem good, to be of opinion. And we're not going to get into all of this. To lead, to suppose, to think. All of these words for to think or to suppose, to think. We're going to get into that. And then 1381 is dokimazo, to test, examine, prove, scrutinize, to see whether a thing is genuine or not. And that's what we have to do, to recognize as genuine after examination, to approve or to deem worthy. And that is the verb here. And it comes from the 1384, which is dokibas, to be approved or tried. And you can read a little something about the metals and how they test it. So there's 21 verses here with this dokimazo, talking about the hypocrites who can discern the face of the sky and the earth, and how is it that you cannot discern this time, because they don't know what's going on. Approve them, and so that's the 1381. There's too many verses to go through there, but you got that. And the 1382 is the dokime, to prove or experience, the experiment, the proving trial, a proof, a specimen of tried worth. And it also comes from the dokimos, and we'll look at that a little bit. So, and it talks about Romans 5, all the things we have to go that work out for us, and we'll put that in a little context here. It says, and not only so, but we glory in tribulations also. But that's going through the fire, the tribulation. We glory in tribulation, with knowing that that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope, and hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Ghost, which is given to us. So don't be afraid of the trials and the fire and everything else we got to go through. We're supposed to go through it. 2 Corinthians 2:9, for to this end also did I write, that I might know the proof of you, whether you be obedient in all things. 2 Corinthians 8:2, how that in a great trial of affliction, the abundance of their joy and their deep poverty abounded unto the riches of their liberality. He's talking to the Corinthians, but he was speaking of the Macedonians, I believe, when he's talking about the riches of their liberality. And then 9:13, whiles by the experiment of this ministration they glorify God for your professed subjection unto the gospel of Christ, and for your liberal distribution unto them and unto all men. So, and 13:3, since you seek a proof of Christ speaking in me, which to you word is not weak, but is mighty in you. And Philippians 2:22, but you know the proof of him that as a son with the Father, he hath served me with the gospel. Speaking of his friend, what's his name? I can't think of it right now, but everybody gets tried. Everybody's tried. The working of your patience, all of that stuff. And then approved of men. And the word here is dokimas, approved, tried, accepted. So in the ancient world, there was no banking system as we know it today, no paper money. All money was made from metal, heated until liquid, poured into molds, and allowed to cool. When the coins were cooled off, it was necessary to smooth off the uneven edges. The coins were comparatively soft, and of course, many people shaved them closely. In one century, more than 80 laws were passed in Athens to stop the practice of shaving down the coins then in circulation. And a lot of people did that. They would get the coins, they would shave off the edges, and they would melt it down and make more coins. So this is, what do you call that? When you're making coins, and a lot of people do that. They try to do that today. But some money changers were men of integrity who would accept no counterfeit. That's the word I was looking for, counterfeit money. They were men of honor who put only genuine, full-weighted money into circulation. Such men were called dokimas, or approved. And you notice that we had the coins that had the rigid edges or the rough edges on it. And if you ever saw a coin that didn't have the rough edge on it, you know it was shaved down. And you can do that to coins today if you wanted to. But it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And then, I'm not going to read all of these verses, but you get the gist of it. It's something that's approved, and 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of God, the word of truth. And that's what we're doing now. We're rightly dividing, we're parsing the word of truth. Rightly dividing, what's that word? Rightly dividing. Rightly dividing. Orthotomeo. Comes from orthos, which is upright or straight or erect, and this one is tomateros, which is a sharper. That's like a single stroke. The other one is kopto, which means to hack at something. Kopto, you're hacking at it. This is tomateros, one slice and it's done, as if by a single stroke. Did I get that right? Let me see. Comparative of a derivative of the primary temno, to cut, more comprehensive or decisive than the other one. Here's the other one, 2875 is kopto. All right. As if by a single stroke, whereas that implies repeated blows, like hacking. That's where. So one's one swift blow, and the other one's repeated hacking. But this is rightly dividing the word of truth, and that's what we're doing. And blessed is the man that endureth temptation, and parasmos, right? Yeah, parasmos, temptation, an experiment, attempt, a trial, or proving. So it's basically the same thing as the dokimas. Comes from paradzo, to tempt or to try. And we can go crazy with all of these words here. I love it. Pura, to essay, to trial, to attempt. Right? On the base of 4008, which is paran, which means on the other side or beyond. Oh, going paran, well, on the other side. endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. And if you're reprobate, and this is the word, wait a second. No, that's the Old Testament word. I'm sorry. Ma'as, despise, refuse, reject. To reject, despise, refuse. And that's what happens to the reprobate silver. It's rejected. So in Jeremiah 6:30, he says, reprobate silver shall men call them, because the Lord hath rejected them. And that's in Jeremiah 6:30. And he's talking about who? Let me see. Well, we have heard of the wax field. We'll go back and do this in context there. Therefore, hear, ye nations, and know, O congregation, what is among them. Hear, O earth, behold, I will bring evil upon this people, even the fruit of their thoughts, because they have not hearkened unto my words, nor to my law, but rejected it. To what purpose cometh there to me incense from Sheba, and the sweet cane from a far country? Your burnt offerings are not acceptable, nor your sacrifices sweet unto me. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will lay stumbling blocks before this people, and the fathers and the sons together shall fall upon them, and the neighbors and his friends shall perish. So he's had it. He's done with these people. He says, we have heard the fame thereof. Our hands wax feeble. Anguish hath taken hold of us, and pain as of a woman in travail. Go not forth into the field, nor walk by the way, for the sword of the enemy and fear is on every side. O daughter of my people, gird thee in sackcloth, and wallow thyself in ashes. Make thee mourning, as for an only son, most bitter lamentation, for the spoiler shall suddenly come upon us. I have set thee for a tower and a fortress among my people, that thou mayest know and try their way. They are all grievous revolters, walking with slanders. They are brass and iron. They are all corrupters. The bellows are burned. The lead is consumed by the fire. The founder melteth in vain, for the wicked are not plucked away. So all it is burning and trying, and it's not working. Reprobate silver shall men call them, because the Lord hath rejected them. And in the New Testament, it's the dokimas, it's adokimas. It's adokimas. It's the negative particle, alpha privative, and the 1384. It's reprobate, cast away, rejected, not standing the test, not approved, unfit for unapproved, reprobate. And that's Romans 1:28. He says, even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. So we'll reject him so much, and he'll say, you know what? I'm not going to hear your prayers anymore. You think you're doing the right thing? You're not. You're going against my laws. You're not listening to me. So I'm going to send you even worse things. So that's what he did. That's what he does constantly. And in 2 Timothy 3:8, it says, now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, supposedly the two magicians back then who made the sticks turn into serpents and things like that, and so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. And in Titus 1:16, they profess that they know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable, disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate. So that's andokimas. Let's make it easier to see the rest of these here. We got off on that, and there's something else here on the Dross testing. Want to look at all of these here? Life and death. Life tested by the Lord, the inward life tried. Psalm 17:3. Thou hast proved mine heart. Thou hast visited me in the night. Thou hast tried me, and shall find nothing. I am purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. The refining process. We just read a couple of these verses. We read these already, Zechariah 13 and 9. They put the third part through the fire, refine them as silver is refined. I will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name. And of course, Malachi 3:3. And the test of the storm is Luke 6:48. He is like a man which built his house and digged deep and laid the foundation on a rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently upon the house and could not shake it. Why? For it was founded upon a rock. And the final test, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire. And the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. 1 Corinthians 3:13. And blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Second or third time we read that. It's all about trying. Afflictions, a lot of good stuff here. See, all of these things here, you'll find this in the back of, if you have a Thompson Chain Bible, you go to the back and you'll see this number 2149. All of this stuff is listed in the back of the Bible. This is nothing special here. This is all in the back of the Thompson Chain. And you look up afflictions, blessings in disguise. You go back to the Thompson Chain and you look up number 490, and you'll see this. Afflictions, blessings in disguise. We could just go zooming all over the Bible with all of this stuff. And it's all great verses. Behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth. Therefore despise thou not the chastening of the Almighty. How many times are you going to run across that? How many verses talking about him chastening us, trying us, putting us through the fire? And this is it. Job 23:10. But he knoweth the way that I take. When he tried me, I shall come forth as gold. How's that for confidence? Surely it is meet to be said unto God, I have borne chastisement. I will not offend anymore. You beat me enough, God. That's enough. I have borne my chastisement. I'm not going to offend you anymore. 119:67. Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I have kept thy word. So, he'll beat you until you wake up. And Ecclesiastes 7:2, it is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. I would love to read every single verse that we have here, and just bing, 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 zip all over the Bible with this stuff. But you got this Thompson Chain in the back of your Bible. Chastisement is the mark of the Father's love, and you'll see all these verses here. Chastisement is the mark of the Father's love. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chastiseth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee. Okay? He is chastened also with pain upon his bed, and the multitude of his bones, strong pain. Blessed is the man whom thou chastenest, O Lord, and teachest him out of thy law. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. And like I said, if you don't get any correction, you're a bastard. O Lord, correct me, but with judgment, not in thine anger, lest thou bring me to nothing. So we hope he does it like that, Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. You even know that if you cut the branches off, or you snip a couple of rosebuds off, and they'll grow, more will grow out of it. We know that. 1 Corinthians 11:32. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world. That's great. I'd rather be chastened by the Lord, hated by the world and loved by God, than loved by the world and hated by God. So we don't want to be condemned with the world. Hebrews 12:5. And you have forgotten the exhortation which speak unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. And Revelation 3:19, as many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. So if you're not going through stuff, he doesn't love you. And you know that if you're going through stuff, thank God. Get on your face and thank God for everything. And everything, give thanks to. This is the will of God, Christ, concerning you. And all of these are all good. We can't go through all of these. We can, but you look up these numbers in the back: 496, 497, 490. Spiritual tests. You'll look up the number 3606 in the back of the Bible, the Thompson chain, and you'll see all of this. All right. You look up 3607 in the back, and you'll see this: divine delays, try men's courage and patience. And then 3608 talks about examples of faith tested by plan to sacrifice Abraham's son, by a strange plan and campaign. Josh, we read that. By reducing a general's army. This is what he says. You have too many people. I think this is, and yeah, he said to Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped will I save you, because he had thousands of people with him, and he says, there's too many. I don't want you to say that you did this on your strength. I want you to say that it was me. So he took the 300 men, and he went down and he delivered the Midianites into his hand with 300 men. So all of these examples. There's other examples here. Matthew 9:28, and when he was come into the house, the blind men came in, and Jesus said unto them, believe ye that I am able to do this? They say unto him, yea, Lord. Mark 7:27. Jesus said unto her, let the children first be filled, for it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs. And she turned around and says, yeah, but even the dogs waited. And he called her. She had a lot of faith. By faith Abraham, and all these others. Good. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith, worketh patience. 1 Peter 1:7. These are the first two verses we read. James 1:3 and 1 Peter 1:7. The trial of your faith, more precious than gold. So all these are good. It's good stuff here. I love this. And what is this? I don't know where this came from. This is the Sue turn back. That's the Dross. Yeah, okay. Let me get back to this here. I think. No, that's that. Okay. And Badal, breaking pieces, 203. What do I have on this here? This is 203. I didn't do my red, so it's hard for me to look at these things. Sometimes I underline things in blue and I do other things in red to help it stand out better. And I'm supposed to do this in red. 203. I don't have it here. There it is. Oh, okay. 914. That's what I had that up there for. Let me get this out of here. 1469. So these two go together. Sug, to move, to go, to turn back, and that's Dross. All right. Usually refers to that which is turned away or skimmed off. That's what skimmed off in the refining process. The dross or the oxide. Silver dross can be red. Glaze. Biform sig is used euphemistically in 1 Kings 18:27. Yeah, okay. But this one here, Badal, I believe. Let me go 0914. 0914 divided. Where did I get this? Badal, separate. All right. Yeah, that's when you're separating. Okay. Turning away. Badal, that's kind of like what you're doing. You're separating the tin, the dross from the silver. There's 40 verses here. Separation, sever out. So it's just separate. For me, he says, I want you to separate, just like we separate the goats from the sheep. Divide the light from the darkness. There was a couple of verses. To make a difference between the unclean and the clean, between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten. All right. See, and you shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. Oh, all right. So, but I had looked at this for some reason. I don't know why. Badil, alloy tin, badil. I mean, the plummet. Plummet tin, the word to separate denotes that which is separated from precious metal or metal ore, and thus Isaiah 125 we read, purely purge away the dross and take away all the tin, refers to metal, which in combination with precious metal reduces the precious metal to dross. It is used in that sense figuratively of Israel. In Ezekiel 22:18, we read that the Son of Man has become, the house of Israel has become dross. All right. The word also means tin in a number of contexts. Tin with copper gives the alloy bronze. Tin was therefore important in antiquity. Tarshish in Spain was apparently its main source. The expression stone of tin refers to a plummet. And you'll see plummet in Zechariah 4:10, and you'll see it also in Amos 7:7, but it means two different things here. For who has despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those seven, and they are the eyes of the Lord, which run to and fro through the whole earth. And how many studies have we seen on the eyes of the Lord and what it all means? The plummet, eben, stone, eben, bidel, plummet. And this other plummet here, the plumb line in Amos 7, then he showed me, behold, the Lord stood upon a wall made by a plumb line, with a plumb line in his hand. And this word here is anak, the plumb line, or the plummet, or lead weight. So this is something that you put a lead weight on a string, and you hold the string up to the top of the wall, and it goes straight down. So this way, you know, you can draw a straight line with this plumb line, and that's the plummet for measuring. And the Lord said unto me, Amos, what seest thou? And I said, a plumb line. Then said the Lord, behold, I will set a plumb line in the midst of my people Israel. I will not again pass by them anymore. So he's going to measure them out. And then the chaff. What we got here? A lot of good words with the chaff. This is a different chaff, right? This is koshash. All right, because it's better. Wait a minute. I gave you that one. I gave you this one. That's the motes. Okay, the motes was the chaff, but this is koshash, and this has to do with the other one that I first gave you, which is the kash. That's the stubble. Kash is stubble, and together, kashash. So, therefore, as the fire devoureth the stubble, and the flame consumeth the chaff, so there shall be as rottenness, and so their root shall be as rottenness, and their blossom shall go up as dust. No root and no blossom. That's nothing. That's dead, because they have cast away the law of the Lord of hosts and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. And 33:11, you shall conceive chaff, and you shall bring forth stubble. Your breath as fire shall devour you. Your own words will devour you. Shall bring forth stubble, kash. So these two are the same. Kashash is a variation of kash. So you shall conceive kashash, you shall bring forth kash, your breath as fire shall devour you. And now, And 3:12, 1 Corinthians 3:12. Now, if any man build upon this foundation, gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble. So what foundation you're building on? Gold, silver, precious stones, or wood, hay, and stubble? That seems like you're getting down to nothing here. Stubble is just like sticks. Stubble is a stalk or a grain of seed or stubble. The stalk left after the ears are cut off. There's not much there. That's calame, stubble. And what comes from what? It comes from calamos, which is a reed or a pen, a staff made of a reed. Not much, but it's a measuring reed, a writer's pen, a writer's reed, a pen. So, and I have verses here, 11 verses having to do with what? So just different words with stubble and chaff, and let me see. And in the greatness of thine excellency, thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Thou sentest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble. And Job 21:18, they are as stubble before the wind and as chaff that the storm carrieth away. So you can see dross, the chaff, the stubble, it's all negative stuff. Oh my God, make them like a wheel as the stubble before the wind. So, and Isaiah 5:24, we read that. Yea, they shall be planted, yea, they shall not be sown. They shall not be planted, they shall not be sown. Their stock shall not take root in the earth, and he shall also blow upon them, and they shall wither, and the whirlwind shall take them away as stubble. Whew, that's terrible stuff, man. And that's what happened to Israel back then. This is Isaiah talking. And he was in the 9th century, in the 8th century. So they were taken away in the 7th century, 722, in the 8th century, I mean. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm them, nor fire to sit before it. And Jeremiah 13:24, therefore I will scatter them as the stubble that passes away by the wind of the wilderness. So Isaiah is talking about them before Assyria comes in, and Jeremiah is talking about them before Babylon comes in. 100 some odd years between them, 722 BC and 586 BC. They didn't learn. And Joel 2:5, like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. And Nahum 1:10, for they shall be folded together as thorns, and while they are drunken as drunkards, they shall be devoured as stubble, fully dry. And Nahum is see, burden of Nineveh. Okay, that's who he's talking about. He's talking about Nineveh. I couldn't think of it. And Malachi 4:1. We studied this before. Behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. So that's what you neither root nor branch. That's everything's gone. You no more family. You can cut down the tree and leave a stubble there, and it'll grow again. You take away the root and the branch, and you're done. So these are the three that I was looking at: dross, stubble, and chaff. And that's good stuff. Look at all this. Can't go through all of this. Let me get this out of here. Open some, make some room for another window here. And the Mingled. I got into Mingled. Where is it? Oh man. 4107. Where's the numbers? Let me look at some numbers here. I'll give you some numbers, and then we'll 4107. There it is. Okay, 4107. 4537. 38. 1101. 44. You know, I'm going to throw these up on another page here. Make it easier for us to look. 4107. It's just one verse. 107. Thy silver has become dross. Thy wine mixed with water. So we were studying dross, all right, and it brought us to being mixed with water, and that's what happens. You know, the dross is something that's burnt off and discarded, and this wine, this mixed with water, is no good either. It's something to be discarded, and the word is mahal, to circumcise. Actually, what it means, to weaken, to cut down, weakened. Or they say, so the Aramaic cognate mahal means to circumcise, but in Hebrew the word appears only once, in a figurative sense, to cut wine. Somebody points out that this semantic development is parallel in other sources. When you talk in Latin, you're talking about castrea vinum, to cut the wine, or to castrate the wine. And in Latin and the French, the coupe du vin means to cut the wine. So much water has been added to the wine that its character has been weakened. The Aramaic word and the Hebrew, it also means circumcise, is doubtless a biform of the word mol, to circumcise. And that's what we have. You circumcise it and you cut it. And then the other word is 4537. Mingled, all right, masak, to mingle, to mix, to mingle, produced by mixing, masak, mingle, mixture, well mixed, drink offering. So, you see, 4 of the 5 uses of masak are associated with drinking. Yayin is wine. Shakar is strong drink or beer. Shikoi means to drink or refreshment. And according to Isaiah 19:14, God has mixed within Egypt a spirit of confusion, and thus it staggers as a drunken man. The Lord hath mingled the perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err, and every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. What was that? Mingled people. Pharaoh Hopra's mercenaries, whose employment provoked the native Egyptians to overthrow him. Mingled people. See, mixed multitude. Yeah, with a lot of stuff here. Mixture, Psalms 75 and 8. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and he poureth out the same, but the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. Well mixed wine. And also you talk about a drink offering, or mixed wine, or a spiced wine. And it says here that cocktails are mixtures of distilled liquors with other liquids. Before the Arabs discovered distillation in the Middle Ages, there were no highly alcoholic drinks. Dilution with water is mentioned late in the Second Maccabees. For just as it is harmful to drink wine alone, or again to drink water alone, while wine mixed with water is sweet and delicious and enhances one's enjoyment, so also the style and the story delights the ears of those who read the work. And here will be the end. 2 Maccabees 15:39. He's talking about mixing water and wine. He's comparing it to something else. We're not going to get into that right now, but And then in Matthew 27:34, when Jesus was on the cross, they gave him vinegar to drink mingled with gall. And when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. And also in Mark 15:23, they gave him to drink wine mingled with myrrh, but he received it not. And there's just two different things in here. Mingled is the word, come on, mignumi, to mix or to mingle. Mignumi. And we'll get into this. Well, I got some verses lined up for this here. But the other one is they gave him drink mingled with myrrh. That's smyrnizo, mingled with myrrh. Wine with myrrh, wine flavor with myrrh. The ancients used to infuse myrrh into wine to give it a more agreeable fragrance and flavor. And some say that there was some kind of a drink that they would give people on the cross and being crucified to numb them, so they wouldn't feel it, and he wouldn't drink anything that took away his pain. He had to feel it all. So that's why he didn't drink this. Some say that. So, and Smyrna is myrrh. That's where it comes from. It's myrrh. So they gave him vinegar to drink, and he refused it. But then it was at the end he did receive the sponge, and he said, "It's finished. That's it." And he died there on the cross. So in Isaiah 65:11, an oblation for Mini, which is the number, is parallel with setting a sacrificial table for Gad. This juxtaposition of sacrificial terms is also found in Proverbs 9, where wisdom invites participation in her banquet. But in Isaiah 65, he says, "But you are they that forsake the Lord, that forget my holy mountain, that prepare a table for that troop, and that furnish the drink offering unto that number." So that troop is Gad. You prepare a table for that troop, for the Gad. All right, God of fortune. It's a Babylonian deity. And furnish a drink offering, mamsak, mixed wine or a drink offering. And it comes from this word, masak, to mingle. For that number, that's mine. When he talks about mine, when he says Perez, when we was in the handwriting on the wall, mine, whatever it is there, upsaron, your days are numbered. That's what he's talking about. He said, that's what the handwriting on the wall is. Your days are numbered. And Proverbs 9, 2-5, put it in context here. She hath killed her beasts, she hath mingled her wine, she hath also finished her table. Another one that's set in the table here. She hath set forth her maidens, she crieth upon the highest places of the city. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. As for him that wanteth understanding, she says unto him, Come, eat of my bread, and drink of the wine which I have mingled. That's it. Forsake the foolish, and live and go in the way of understanding. So it's not so much the intoxicating wine, And apart from these two uses in Proverbs, all three of these words are negative. The folly of the drunkard, the unavoidable wrath of God's bitter judgment poured out on evil, except for this one here. And when in Proverbs, when wisdom is telling you to come and enjoy that. So, mingled my drink with weeping. Okay. Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine, and men of strength to mingle strong drink. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every good word. So that's that masak. And then the other word here is 38, 538, 38, the mixture. All right. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup. We read this a couple of times already. And the wine is red, and it's full of mixture, misek, mixture. And he poureth out the same, but the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. And the dregs, what's the dregs? The shemer, that's the lees. They settled on their lees, the dregs. Shama means to keep or to observe, to guard, to watch. Okay. So all of these words that we have to look up. And then 4469, mixed. All right. They that tarry long at the wine, let me put it in context here. We might have read this. I don't know. He's given an admonition here. He says, who hath woe, who hath sorrow, who hath contentions, who hath babbling, who hath wounds without cause, who hath redness of eyes? They that tarry long at the wine, they that go to seek mixed wine. Look thou not upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth its color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent and stingeth like an adder. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, and thine heart shall utter perverse things. Yea, thou shalt be as he that lieth down in the midst of the sea, or he that lieth upon the top of a mast. And if you've ever been drunk, you know what that's talking about. They have stricken me, thou shalt say, and I was not sick. They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again. So we always say, I'll never do that again. But we always do. All right. That's the troop. There's the number there. Okay. Table for the troop. And then there was a couple other words here. Just let me get them down here to make it easy. 6151. 6151. I think this is Aramaic. Yeah, this is Daniel. What's the word in 6148 would be the Arab. Mix, mingle. Okay. Let me get this out of here. Mix, mingle, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, and he's talking about the vision that the king saw about the head of gold, the chest of silver, and the torso of brass, and the feet of the legs of iron, and the feet mixed with iron. So that's the bad. That's where we're at now. Nobody's together, man. You got red against blue, and nobody's together. Daniel 2:41. He says, "Whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, potter's clay and pot of iron, and the kingdom shall be divided." And that's what's happening here. But there shall be in it the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay. So that's what you have here. And whereas, let me put it in context. And as the toes of the feet were part iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou saw iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with deceived men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And you can see that today. You see that every kingdom that's about to fall, that's what happens. And that's what's happening to this country today. And whoops, let me put this up here again. And I think the other one was 6154 also. Oh, 6154. Yeah, it's gonna come crashing down, man, sooner than we realize. Mixed multitude. This is 6154. This is the Arab. Okay, wolf. Yeah, I was looking up the wolf and the wolf. Mixed multitude. And when you have 1685, there was a couple of, let me see, this here, and this here, and this here. Just look at this for a second here. I don't want to look at all of these other verses. There's what? There's 11 verses here talking about the mixed multitude. And when you look in Leviticus and it talks about looking at diseases and things like that and plagues, and if anything is on the skin, it's going to be on the clothes. So you got to look, and it talks about the warp and the woof, and that's the clothing. With the warp, it goes horizontal, the woof goes vertical, or vice versa, and it makes like a T or like a cross when they weave it. That's what it means by warp and woof, warp and woof. And let me take these out here. So and Exodus 12, and a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds and very much cattle. So when they came out of Egypt, it wasn't all Israel, you know. It was a mixed multitude. It was Arab. We say Arab. Arabs means mixed. Mixed multitude. They went up also with them. And in Nehemiah 13:3, now it came to pass when they had heard the law that they had separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. So that's when they got down to business over there. And they were marrying these foreigners, and they weren't supposed to be doing that. And Nehemiah says, you can't do that. You're going to put them away, put the wives away. And they tried to keep it as pure as possible, I guess, you know. And they had separated. And this is Badal. Separate, divide. 203. We looked at that a little bit. Okay, yeah. To separate, and we have to separate ourselves from the world, and this is what we got to do. We got to be separate. Come out of it, you know. And then 1348, whether it be in the warp or the woof of linen or woolen, whether the skin or any other skin, so you got to clean it. You got to get it out, and you can't have it. So that's what that's talking about. And then Exodus 8:17, and they did so, for Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod, and he smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beast, and all the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the word here, what was the word? Stretch out his hand around, he smote the dust of the earth, became lice. I don't know. He sent divorce, the flies here, 6157. 6157. So they had the wrong verse here. Exodus 8:21. And I will send swarms of flies upon thee and upon the servants and upon thy people and into thy houses, the house of Judah. Swarms of flies. And then the other one here, and he's in Psalm 78 is like a history of Israel chapter. He sent diverse sorts of flies among them, which devoured them, and frogs, which destroyed them. And another one, he spake, and there came, and Psalms 105 is also like a history of Israel chapter. If you can read those. And then this 1101 is confound, but it also has to do with mixed and mingled, balal, mix and mingle. Let's see if I got this one down here. Mix, mingle, balal, confuse. A ritualistic term uses mixing oil into the flour or meal of the cereal offering until every particle of flour is mingled or anointed with oil. Tower of Babel, they're confusing, they confounded the language. So you got mixed, everything's mixed. All right, so I put that up there, but I didn't really want to get into it too much, but it's to mingle or confound like that. And this is the garment of diverse sorts is 8162. Go pass by this quick, I think. 8162, yeah. Leviticus 19, you shall keep my statutes, thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind, and thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. So you don't let your animals mingle together like that. You're not going to yoke them together unequally, and don't mingle. Don't wear a woolen garment with linen. You're not going to make these two garments out of the same, one garment out of the same. So mingled seed. I don't know if we looked at this yet. Mingled seed, I think it's my next word. Diverse kind, yes, mingled seed. All right. And then 22:11, thou shalt not wear a garment of diverse sorts, as of woolen and linen together. So you don't do that. You make something all wool, you make something all linen. You don't mix wool and linen together. And this 36:10 is diverse seeds, and it's talking more about the prison. Kilayim is mingle seed, mingle diverse kinds of seed. It's a dual of 3608 in the original sense of separation. And Calais means prison, imprisonment, confinement, or restraint. I guess you're being separated if you're in prison, right? And it comes from 3607, which is Kala, which means to shut up or stay, refrain, to restrict, restrain. All right. TWOT 980. Shut up, refrain, imprisonment, enclosure, two kinds. So the last thing we're looking at is the two kinds here. And it's not here. All right. It is of interest that imprisonment is not a penalty on the Mosaic Code, but it was well known in Egypt, as Joseph found out, as it was used when the king of Israel. But I don't see the two kinds here, Kilayim. So Kilayim, mingled seed, 3610. 3610. Yeah, we did this already. Okay, it's in those same two verses. So it's a mingled seed. And we're not going to do that. We don't do that. And also, let's do some New Testament stuff. Here we got 47. Excuse me, 47. 4786 is tempered. So this is the sun karanumi, tempered together, mixed with, to mix together, commingle. And this is the good one, I think. Yes, to commingle something. So in 1 Corinthians 12:24, for our comely parts have no need. God hath tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to that part which lacked. And Hebrews 4:2, for unto us was the gospel preached, as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with the faith in them that heard it. So you can have all the words in the world. If you got no faith, it means nothing. And it comes from also this word here, karanumi, which means to fill or to pour out, to fill or to pour out with, temper together, to mix, to mingle, to pour out. And 27, let me get it, 66, 2766, and that is the tiling, yes. In Luke 5:19, when they let him down, but through the tiling in the ceiling, when they couldn't get into the house. And this is the tiling, the clay, the pot is earth. And when you mix something through the idea of mixing clay and water, and it becomes one thing, okay? So it becomes one thing. But the 3396 is not a good mixing, and that's the one we were talking about before with the mixing of the mingle. So this mixing is good. This one here is when you put two things together and they become one thing, and they're no more separate. But this here is when you try to mix two things together, but they're still, separate. They don't become one thing. All right, they're a separate thing. It's the first one is a mixing to combine the ingredients into a new compound, and this one is a mixture, blending or intermingling. So it's not a new compound here. It was mingled with gall. They were present at that season. Some that told him of the Galileans whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices. And the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled. See? So it's not one thing, it's all separated. And they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burnt up. And I saw it as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. So it's two separate things mingling together, but not coming into one thing like the other one was, the 2766. You mix compounds together, and it became a tile on the roof. Two things became one thing. So that's the mingling. And this soon, what God does for us, 4786, when he puts us together. Sum karanumi, to put us together. That's good. And what was the other one? 3395 we looked at, did we? 3395. A mixture of myrrh, okay, and 4669 we looked at already. That's the Smyrnizol, okay. That's that. Let me see what else I got down here. Okay. All right. Mixed. I think we went through all of these. Yes, I think so. Yes. Okay. And mixed multitude. Yeah, we went through. Yes, mingled, a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. Yes, we did that already. Okay. And the mixture. Yes, we did that. And this we just did. Okay. And this one here is without mixture. A kratos, unmixed. In Revelation 14:10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, without mixture, pure alpha privity and the karanumi. 94. And this we saw. Let me get it out of here as we go. And there, mixture. Yeah, mixture. And you can look up mixed, and you'll get a whole bunch of stuff on mixed multitude here. They separated from Israel, or the mixed multitude and the strangers, and Nehemiah. And TWOT 1170. Come on. All right, never mind. And mingled people. All right. And mixture is the TWOT, mixed wine. Mixture, masak. Drink offering. Yeah, I think we looked at this. Yeah, 75.8. Yeah, the mixed wine. All right, yeah, we saw a lot of this. Yeah, and but what was that? The other one I didn't see in the chat. Yeah, mixture. It was one of the New Testament here. Yeah. In Matthew 3:12, whose fan is in his hand, and he will thoroughly purge his floor and gather his wheat into his garner, but he will burn up the chaff with unquenchable fire. Ooh, unquenchable fire. So this chaff here is achoran, a stalk or grain from which the kernels have been beaten out, straw broken up by the threshing machine, the chaff. So you throw it up in the air and it blows away because it's lighter. And then unquenchable fire, asbestos. I wonder where we get that word from. Unquenchable, never to be quenched, unquenched. All right, asbestos fire. But it's mingled. What was his other word? GLED. Appreciate you guys just hanging out here doing this. Mingled with blood. Yeah, we looked at that. We looked at that. Yeah, we looked at that. Yeah, we looked at that. We looked at that. Okay. There's a lot of words. And what was the other one here? We saw that already. Okay. I think we covered everything here that I wanted to cover as far as this mingling and shut down. Yep, yeah. Good. All right. And there was nothing really in Girdlestones that I found. I couldn't find stuff that Girdlestone had on it. Oh, except for this Dokimas. We can't read that now. It's kind of late. But if you look up the synonyms of the Old Testament, Girdlestone's book, and you look up Dokimas, and you'll read some good stuff in there about that. He calls it temptation. So you look up temptation in Girdlestone's synonyms of the Old Testament, and you'll find the page where he talks about the word adokimas has usually been rendered reprobate, as in 2 Corinthians 13 and 5, where we have the same connection of the words as in the passage last quoted. Prove yourselves unless you be reprobate. So prove is dokimazo, unless you become a dokimoi. In one place, however, and that a very remarkable one, our translators have preferred to render a dokimas by castaway. So what was the number? 94. 94. Unjust. No, reprobate. R-E-P-R-O-B-T-E. Reprobate. And this would be 96. Okay. 96. We looked at these already. But I wanted to see what he was talking about here. In one sense, they called it reprobate, and in another sense, they called it castaway. Here we go. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest by any means I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. What they put castaway for there? Why don't they just put reprobate there? I don't know. So you got one word, a dokimas, and they have 8 words, 6 reprobate, 1 castaway, and 1 rejected. But we know what it is. It's not good. Castaway. So I myself should be unable to pass scrutiny when he talks about being reprobate or castaway. So he won't be able to pass the test. You know, when they scrape the silver on the thing, then they find out it's not real. So St. James and St. Peter concur in using the expression the trial of your faith in James 1 and in 1 Peter 1. And the idea suggested is that the faith which the Christian professes has to be submitted to the test of affliction and temptation, just as gold is put into the crucible and passed through the fire. James 1:3 we looked at already. And in 1 Peter 1:7, you get the word again, trying of your faith. There you go. The trying of your faith, 1383. Well, it's raining here. Raining hard here. There we go. This is what he talks about here, the trying of your faith. 1 Peter 1:7 and James 1:3. The word dokimas is used several times by St. Paul and signifies the condition of him who has stood the test and is approved. 2 Timothy 2:15. 2 Timothy 2:15. I don't want to read all of this, but he's got some good stuff in here. 2 Timothy 2:15, and that compares to James 1:12. Approved. James 1:12. Here we go. So 2 Timothy 2:15, and James, study to show thyself approved unto God, and blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life. In accordance with these passages, we can understand Romans 5:4. So he does a lot of jumping around here. Romans 5:4. But all these words, we looked at them. Dokimas, dokimazo. Here we go. Patience, experience, and experience hope. Where patience works experience, dokimaze. This doubtless means that as tribulation is the occasion whereby endurance or patience is developed, so this endurance becomes a test or proof that our faith is living and true. So we go through all these trials, and we endure, and we come out, and we're approved. When we turn from these various Greek words, which stand for the Hebrew word bakan, to parasmo, which always represents the word nasa. So he compares the Old Testament with the New Testament. We notice a marked difference of sense. The scrutiny or testing process, which we have been considering, is exercised by men aided by the enlightenment of the Holy Spirit in this life, and we will be brought to bear upon the hearts and lives of all men by God hereafter. The parasmos is almost always represented in the New Testament as the work of the devil or of those who are following his guidance. Thus, Christ, during his earthly mission, suffered being tempted, and those temptations, which were of various kinds, were thrown in his path, sometimes by Satan and sometimes by the Pharisees and others, who sought to entangle him in an offense against God or man. And that's the parasmos, that's the word. In the Acts, we read of Ananias and Sapphira tempting the Spirit in Acts 5:9. Acts 5:9. So he gets into this parasmos and dokimas. 5:9. I think this one is parasmos, right? Peter said, how is it that you have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of the Lord? Tempt. 39:85. Parazo, yes. 39:85. 85. We're just going off on little tangents here, you know. All synonymous words. And yeah, so this is usually some negative, the devil's doing it, or the Pharisees, or Peter's talking to these guys, or Peter asking them why they tempted God by imposing the law of Moses to the Gentile converts in 15:10. It's 15:10. Now, therefore, why tempt ye God to put a yoke upon the neck of the disciples, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? So he's talking about putting away the ordinances there. And in James 1:13 and 14, we have the whole history of temptation, so far as the operations of the human heart are conceived. And that would be James 1:13. James 1:13 and 14. Get these out of here. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempt he any man, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. For God cannot be tempted with evil. Cannot be tempted. A parasa cannot be tempted. One time in the Bible. A pirastos. So, wow, good stuff here, man. So Satan's operations are implied but not directly stated. A man is said to be led away when he is baited by his own passions. But who is it that uses these? Hello? As bait.
Hey, John.
How you doing?
Hey, this is Alex. Just real quick, can you touch on the cannot be tempted thing and weave in the all those verses in Luke. I forget what chapter in Luke where he goes to the mountaintop. He's in the desert walking.
Yeah.
Is it the same word? Am I mixing it up?
I believe it is. Parasmos, when he is tempted. Let me get a thing up here. 3985, I think the number is. 3985, I hope. Tempted. Here we go. Yeah, Jesus was led in the wilderness and tempted. That's the word, tempted of the devil. Like I said, this word paradzo, it's usually used of the devil tempting, the Sadducees, the Pharisees tempting, all these other guys that sold their belongings and they didn't give the money to Peter like they were supposed to, and so this is the paradzo, not the dokimazo.
Tempted. Yeah. So the cannot be tempted. That just means like Satan, quote unquote, attempted to. It could be his flesh. Like it was there, but it was none effect. Whereas with us, we drink sin like water, kind of like.
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, he was like us. He was tempted like us, but he was found without sin. Jesus was tempted by the devil. Yeah. And the devil knows the scriptures better than any of us will, and he quotes them and twists them better than anybody ever could. Yeah. So it's let no man say that in this sense I am tempted of God, not man, for he cannot bait the hook with which he himself is to be beguiled and destroyed. It must then be the evil one who makes use of the inclinations of the heart as a means to dragging him to ruin. But if it's of our own selves, so God doesn't tempt us. So when we ask God not to lead us into temptation, we mean lead us not into that position and put us not into those circumstances in which we should be in danger of falling an easy prey to the assaults of Satan. So lead us not into temptation. It's a great thing to say. Don't walk into the bar if you don't want to drink. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to walk into the bar. If you're inclined to drink, lead us not into temptation. So lead me not into that bar so you won't go in there, So in connection with this prayer, we have the promise that with every temptation in which God permits us to be placed, he provides a way of escape that we may be able to go through without falling. And he allows the way in and he makes the way out. 1 Corinthians 10:13. 1 Corinthians 10:13. But there hath no temptation taken you but such as is common to man, but God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with the temptation also make a way of escape, that you may be able to bear it. And that word temptation is 30. It's the same word, just parasmos. All right. So being tempted, one's the verb and one's the noun. Let me finish this. I got one or two passages only in which the verb occurs are to be interpreted differently. In 2 Corinthians 13:5, it says, examine yourselves or tempt yourselves. I don't know, paradzo. Whether you be in faith, prove your own selves. Know you not your own selves, how that Jesus Christ is in you, except you be what? Reprobates, eidokimas. So you got examine parasmos, and I'm sure this is eidokimas here. Hold on, 13:5. Nope, reprobates. Is eidokimas. Right. So you got that in there. Means to put yourself to the test, as we see from the context, which shows that the word is used as a parallel to the verb dokimazo. In this sense, we must understand the use of the word in Hebrews 11 and 17, where he says, by faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son. But God put Abraham's faith and obedience to the test, while Satan tempted him to disobey. And we got off on a lot of different things here as far as the study goes. But I like this this tempting, this dokimazo, and also the parasmos and the trying and the tempting that we got off on there too. And thank you for the questions here. And you know, at any time, anybody can pop in, ask a question or something like that, rather than just hear me all night long. I'm glad you guys made it here tonight. Just want to take a moment of silence here. Thank God for bringing us together. We just look at one word at a time. That's all we're doing here, God. We thank you. We love you. Give you all the praise and honor and glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Whew. Wow. Let me stop recording here. Thank you, God.